Hello my friends, Russia is one more step closer to its collapse, and here is one more crack created. Probably you know this guy, his surname is Strelkov, Rudinov or Girkin. He has many names, but he is the war criminal responsible for drowning the MH17 over the Ukrainian territory. So today he and some of the other influences from the Z public community created the club of the Angry Patriots of Russia. They say in their Angry Patriot Club that Russia is on the way to lose this war in Ukraine, which is obviously true, but what they want to do is not to let the Russia to lose it. For now, they say that they will work according to the Russian legal law, but if they see the betrayal from the Russian command, everything may change. And they call themselves the last border of the Patriots, so if they see then the Russian regime collapses, they will take the power. They also say that the Russian business elite and Putin himself, they were not ready for this long-term war, and their economy is in lack of the resources to handle it. So the idea of the club is to mobilize economy, mobilize all Russian men to fight in Ukraine. So basically they are more radical than the current Putin's regime. We call them chauvinists and imperialists, and this force actually may collapse the Russian Federation. I'm not speaking about this Angry Patriots Club in particular. Well, the name is fantastic, but there are many other forces that are not okay with the current Russian leader. They see that leader cannot solve this big issue that he started. Also, Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner PMC, said the similar stuff, but actually they're enemies with Girkin and this club. And this Angry Russian Patriotic Club, they don't like prisoners to fight for Russia, and they also don't like the private military armies. They want the Russian army to be a single one, to have the monopoly on the force. And actually it's the right thing, because if you have many armies, potentially they may fight against each other. It happened in Russian history long time ago, that there were clashes between some sort of the regions, but now Russia is more or less united. However, those forces, the Russian Angry Patriotic Club, they also create this idea to disassemble from the current Russian policy. And obviously it's not the independent project. I think someone from the Russian elites supports Girkin, because he said all of the bad stuff about Putin and he's not yet in a prison. And just look at the faces of the guys who created this club, and it seems like it's not the patriotic club or something. It's like the open alcoholic club inside the Russian Federation. And before we move to the war map review and other news that happened recently, let me tell you about the partner of my channel and also my sponsor, the Atlas VPN. Recently they came out with a big deal, especially for my viewers and subscribers, where you can get the Atlas VPN Premium with a huge discount for just $183 per month. My friends, the deal is time limited, so hurry up to join the club. And now I'm gonna tell you why the Atlas VPN is the best VPN out there. It was a long way actually for me to stop on this one. Personally, I tried free VPNs, but they are very slow and they cannot provide proper security for your accounts. Atlas VPN got the military standard data encryption. What it does, it basically hides my data for everyone who wants to reach it. Here we speak about the government structures, possible hackers or unwanted advertisements. Also use the Atlas VPN to get the access for the restricted websites in my country. Atlas VPN helped me to get access to Downfall movie available on Netflix. It is about the Boeing 737 MAX crashes. Because the air crash investigation is the sensitive topic, it was restricted in some countries. But with Atlas VPN I can virtually change my location to any kind of country. So basically you have unlimited access to streaming services as Netflix, plus it might help you to avoid the price discrimination on internet if you want to buy something like airline ticket or you want to book apartments on Booking. My friends, if you want to get secured, reliable and fast VPN, please visit the link below under this video, where you can have it just for $183 per month if you sign up for the 3 years deal, and you'll have 3 months for free. Together it is 83% of discount. awesome. Alright, now let's go to Crimea, because Russia is building lots of the defense lines over there, including the beaches of the Black Sea. Well, it seems like they've learned the lessons and now they're digging the trenches with a different shape, not just the straight line. But still, I'm out of clue why they're digging them just on the beaches. We don't have the marine fleet. We don't have anything that will help Ukraine to land on the beaches of Crimea. But on the land, they still continue to dig the straight-lined trenches. And I know that many of you commented that this particular trench is not against the infantry but against the tanks, but I think they still have some sort of the command, the bunkers over there. Sorry, you don't see it under my picture, but they do have the special spots where they can base the infantry. So it's the straight line trench. And this is one of the main entries to Crimea via the mainland, Chongar, and basically there you can see many forms of the trenches, and those are infantry trenches. Obviously it's the very important part, so Russia did everything according to the book out there. So if we zoom to Chongar, you'll see it here. This is one of the main roads. There's also Artemovsk over here and Chongar, basically two roads how you can get to Crimea. So before the full-scale war, it was the border between the occupied Crimea and Ukraine, but finally Russia went through this road and managed to occupy those vast territories. And now you can see how important those roads are. And yes, they're digging the trenches, they reinforce the defense because they're waiting for the counterattack from Ukraine. They expect that Ukraine would go from Melitopol to Crimea this year, but potentially the trenches would not be that effective because it's just a flat ground. No hills, nothing, even no trees out there. The only way how Russia can protect their defense lines is using the aviation, but Ukraine can put the Patriot systems close to the border with Crimea, and the range of the Patriot system is 150 kilometers, a little bit less than 100 miles, which is more than enough to cover the north part of Crimea. And Russia simply would not be able to use their aviation, or they may use the aviation, but they will have severe losses in their airplanes. And here you can see a long and straight infantry trench near to the Belbek airfield, which is very close to Sevastopol. It's my hometown, by the way. So if we go on the south, this is Sevastopol and this is Belbek airfield. They put lots of the units over there, especially modern day fighter jets. And you may say that it would be very difficult to go to Crimea. Yes, I would agree with you, because firstly we need to penetrate the Russian defense over here near to the front lines. But if we penetrate it, after all, it would be much easier compared to the war for Donbas. And let me prove it for you. So this is the concentration of the Russian satellite signals. So then soldiers go to their relatives or friends. The satellite signal goes and creates the information that some equipment may locate, and you can see that the most concentrative part for the Russian enemy side is on the Donbas. So for Donbas penetration, it is much harder than penetrate, for example, this line over here and go to Crimea, where it is not really that hard to fight compared to this area. So you see that for Crimea, they're just calling from their bases, nothing more. For Sevastopol, I don't know why don't we have the data. Well, Sevastopol nowadays is quite a closed city. Probably they even restrict some of the communication companies to use their data because it could be public, as we see here on the map. It's better to go to Melitopol. Yes, it would be hard at first, but later on it would be much easier. And Russia also may send reinforcements to cut this part, so the counterattack should be very fast. Or it should be conducted from two of the directions. Recently we understood that Russia is moving out their forces from the Kimbursky Kosa, so potentially this part could be under Ukrainian control before the start of the massive counterattack. So if we take this part of the land, we would force Russia to concentrate lots of the forces in this region, and potentially we may send the reinforcements from Achakiv and start the counterattack from two of the directions, from this part and also from the north part to Melitopol, and in that case it could be very successful. I think if Russia was out of the nuclear weapons, it would be the proper time to attack it just right now, because they concentrate the most part of their army on the Ukrainian territory. So our allies as Japan would reclaim their territories, and I think not only allies, but China would also take some part of the territory of Russia. Actually, I think China wouldn't do it until Putin got his power, but if they see the democratic change for Russia, or that Russia would start to collapse, I think China would dare to attack the Russian Federation. But they will do it only when the Russia is weak. It's the same stuff that Russia did with Ukraine occupying Crimea. Then it was the power transition in Ukraine because of the revolution. So for the possible attack in Crimea, we need lots of the long-range missiles. Plus, we need tanks to penetrate the Russian defense. We also have the Soviet-made Tochka U, but it's still not enough to target Chonhar. But if the front line would change closer to Crimea, we might potentially cover the trenches in Chonhar from Melitopol. So from all of the aspects, I think Melitopol direction is one of the most profitable for the future counterattack. Now let's go to Bakhmut, the hotspot, and as I heard from the news, there is no any change for today. Basically, I think because of the poor weather conditions, it was hell of a snow and Russians are basically stuck in their positions, but Ukraine also cannot counterattack in that region. It is just the suicide mission from any of the sides to move forward in that case. So definitely Russia still cannot push to encircle the Bakhmut city, and time works not in favor for Russia because Ukraine gets more resources, new reinforcements, and Russia has more losses, and the only resource that they can present are the old ancient Soviet tanks. Yes, they try to modernize them, but still it's not enough for this scale of war. And sometimes I read the comments about the modern Russian T-90 MS tanks. This is basically the modification of the Russian T-72, or it's better to say Soviet T-72 tank. Yes, they put new systems and modern-day armor, but they produce just 20 tanks per year, which is not even close to Russian needs. So why is it happening? Because Russia is in lack of the spare parts for their tanks. All of the modern-day aiming equipment that Russia uses was made in France by Theos factory. The electronics was, yes, partially China-made, but also was supplied from Japan. And the same we can say about the simple bearings. But what is more important and what is behind the scenes usually are the factories. Russia needs the modern equipment to produce those tanks, and that equipment also requires the Western-made parts. Russia nowadays simply cannot produce the precise machine tools without taking the spare parts from the other countries. And you know what? The countries that are capable to produce those precise parts for the machine tools are our allies. Yes, China may potentially solve this issue, but it not takes months, it will take years. And again, that equipment would be made in China, so it's hard to say whether it would be precise or not. Because even China takes the spare parts from the Western allies if they really need to build something very precise. Alright, it seems like we deviated from the topic of the military map. Well, there are no any changes, my friends, for today, which is the awesome news. And here we have the photo of destroyed Antonov 225 airplane. The photos were taken just a couple of days ago, or maybe even today, because they signed that Maria today. And I was there myself. I visited the Hostomel airport after Russian attack, and I filmed the video about it. You may find it on my channel. So compared to the last time, I see a big changes. Firstly, it seems like the empennage was removed, and also all of the engines were removed, probably for the maintenance. The engines on the left wing got minor damages, and I'm sure that it is possible to restore them. Also, they removed the cover and just left the frame because it was really unsafe to walk over there. And basically they cut the airplane into 3 pieces, the big one with the fuselage and the cockpit separated into 2 parts. And this part got the most severe damage, so the engine total loss, and I think the wing on this side is also total loss. Yeah, fuselage obviously, but we have the different one. The spare fuselage is in Kiev. One more photo, you can see the airplane was lifted up a little bit. And this is the landing gear, very unique. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 landing gear struts. Those are very unique, and there is no more factory that is able to produce exactly the same landing gear struts. So it's the big problem, because there are just, I think, 4 landing gear struts like that on Antonov factory. But nevertheless, I still think that Antonov 225 will be rebuilt. And obviously it should be done after the war is over. The Polish Prime Minister said that Ukraine will buy 100 units of Rosamaki infantry vehicles. So it's not a gift, but the deal, and Ukraine will pay the funds for it. We are in desperate, so we take credits. Well, this vehicle looks similar to the United States-made Striker, and it may also swim because it has the propellers at the back. And the good thing that you can also put the turret on the top, so it's the infantry fighting vehicle. Well, I like this design, and for sure the characteristics are better than the Soviet-made BTRs or infantry vehicles that we have. Right, I'm gonna post this on my Telegram channel because literally I cannot show you the full video. This is from the drone and guys are filming from the phone on the phone. And this is the area of the factory which is in Bakhmut. And the comments for the video stated that it was filmed a few days ago before the snow precipitation, and here is the result of the Tochka-U, the Soviet-made rocket system that totally crushed the building with the Wagner armed forces. So indeed, Ukraine moved the forces out from the factory, but it doesn't mean that we stop fighting for it. And so far it is the most powerful rocket system that we have. As for the ATACMS rocket that has the similar effect but the longer range, well, for now the United States say that they will not supply those to Ukrainian army, unfortunately. But those rockets could be very useful for the future counterattack. And also the United States commander Mark Milley said that Ukraine will go for the counterattack, but the chances for Ukraine to liberate all of the territories this year is very low. And there's some news about the pro-Russian church, let's say, and now Ukraine wants to put it out from the biggest temple that we have, the biggest church basically in Kiev, Lavra. And let's say the manager of the church today was arrested, and now he will have to spend 60 days on his home arrest because he is accused for the pro-Russian propaganda in Ukraine. And honestly, I don't want to put the topic of religion on my channel, the same that I don't want to put the topic of American politics on my channel. Sometimes still you have to say about it, so I'm gonna make the podcast, but it will be limited just for the sponsors of my channel and patrons. So still, yes, I would like to speak about it, but I'm very limited to speak about that sensitive topics on a wide audience. And now, my friends, press the like to this video, and also don't forget to check the link for the Atlas VPN, the best VPN out there, where you can get the huge discount, especially with my personal link. So my friends, I wish you a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.